So I'm going to read a story that I've been working on recently, the first half of it, and it's called Doe Eyes. I get this idea that I'll go out into the woods and get shot. That'll show the hunters. They'll be put off hunting for good if they shoot a woman in the heart. Though I'm hoping it won't be in the heart. I hope for a flesh wound from which I can easily recover. I'll lie on a narrow bed at mercy, hooked to chirping machines. The hunters will come, tactical caps in hands, and beg my forgiveness. My husband will visit too and beg me to come home. Your brush with death has put everything in perspective, he'll say. He'll take me home and nurse me to health, feed me spoonfuls of Sprite with the bubbles stirred out. He'll change my leaky bandages and whisper that he loves only me. I'm living with Dad on the old homestead, a ranch house in the countryside north of our university town. It's October, the start of deer hunting season. Saturday morning, I cook Dad breakfast. I toast his bagel how he likes it, 4 rounds until it's a puck of ash that I smear with peanut butter. The char must remind Dad somehow of his rustic and impoverished Ozarkian youth. Dad crunches his bagel. I fill my throat with plain yogurt and stare into the yard. The dining room opens by a sliding glass door to the patio, a patch of concrete bordered by ruined marigold plots, and the clothesline where my mother used to hang her cotton night dresses. Spring days, I watch their white bellies distend in the breeze. On the concrete, my dad has sprinkled dried corn for the deer, but this morning the deer don't come. Earlier, gunshots, orange flashes through the trees. They're awful close to the house, I say. Who? Dad says, startled. He's already opened his 1,000-page volume of Nazi war tactics. All day he'll hunch over the tome, jotting symbols in the margins. The hunters, I say. They were here yesterday, too. Haven't they killed enough? Hunters hunt, Dad says, his voice like a shrug. That's the way of things. He looks at his book and is lost to me. Dad's a history professor. He teaches a popular undergrad class on World War II. He's writing his 3rd book about Stalingrad. No surprise he doesn't care about murdered deer. His expectations are overall low. I wash our plates and put on a deerish outfit. Brown corduroy pants I bought at Goodwill to paint in when my husband and I moved into the house on Gilbert. A brown sweater of unknown provenance. For all I know, it has existed in the bottom drawer of this dresser since the beginning of time. I slink out to the woods. Wet earth suckles my sneakers. The hunters are in the meadow, a dad and his teenage son. I crouch behind a tree. They crouch, waiting for something to move so they can kill it. I went with my husband to a shooting range once. It was in a strip mall. You handed over your ID at a counter. You filled out paperwork, put on earmuffs and goggles. In a narrow booth, my husband stood behind me, wrapped his arms around me, showed me how to shoot. The gun was heavy and cold. I was wearing a pink shirt. I thought I would feel powerful with a cold, heavy gun in my hands. I fired at paper cut into the shape of a man. That was when we were dating. I think it was the same day we went to Taco Bell and split a dozen hard-shell tacos. We ate them in the car, which was a police car, because my husband is a cop. It was one of the things we eventually disagreed about, his being a cop. But at first I liked it. I rode along and watched him ruin people's lives. I wonder what my husband would say if he saw me out in the woods trying to get shot. Get the fuck out of the woods is what he'd probably say. The hunters' backs are to me now. I rustle some leaves in a way I hope is deer-like, but they're too far to hear. I slink back to the house. Their truck is parked on the gravel that cul-de-sacs in front of our house. I wait for them, watching deer videos on YouTube. I practice my deer gait on the carpet. At dusk they return. The grown hunter carries a doe slung around his shoulders. Her pink tongue lolls. A yellow tag dangles from her left ear. First murdered, then tarted up with cheap jewelry. I study the regulations on the website of the Department of Natural Resources. I learned that it is legal to shoot crows only from October 15th to November 30th. For 2 days in October, the youths get first crack at the rooster pheasants, which have presumably grown sluggish and overconfident in the off-season. I learned there is continuous open season on groundhogs and pigeons. I learned that the euphemism for killing is harvesting. Monday, I go to the sporting goods store. I peruse a rack of marked-down camouflage. I choose pants and a jacket in clashing forest prints. At the gun counter, I ask to see their best shotgun. The young worker brings it from the safe. He gives me the rundown. 12 gauge, satin walnut, nickel plated. It's Italian, he says, a Benelli. He lets me hold it. I run my fingers over the stock. His eyes glaze with desire. I want that gun in the worst way, he says. For dinner, I make venison burgers. Dad's reading another Nazi book. He pauses to ask if it's beef, this meat already in his mouth. Dear, I say. He nods as if a puzzle piece has fallen into place. I go out after dinner to break in the camo. I get down on all fours. I lie on my stomach and roll across the frozen dirt, getting twigs and leaves in my hair. I curl my body around the trunk of a tree. I am alone in the forest. I miss my dumb husband, the cop.